All right, here we go. Hi, how are ya? Trying to get a little closer view on the painting part. Not too bad. So I got my inked trading cards, and I do them all on a sheet because I will show you in a minute why I think that's beneficial. And I'm doing a little bit different with these because I do tend to just do lots of colors and stuff on a lot of my cards, but with the horror stuff and like there's certain things that I just think are accentuated when you don't use a lot of color or you use it for like meaning or direction. I do have a little cleanup to do here, but not a ton. I've already inked over a lot of my pencils, so I use a really hard pencil now. I hadn't before, but then I went to a workshop, and it was a fabulous workshop. If you ever get a chance, you definitely need to check out this gentleman. Where'd my book go? I want to show you this book. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Nope, that's not it. Man, I buried it, or I have it up in my room. You know, folks, I'm always prepared. Oh, there it is. All right, it's Mark A. Nelson. And it was kind of, oh, look at that. I'm all backwards and everything. But still, Mark A. Nelson, definitely check him out. One of these days I will figure out how to flip things. See, and he does like awesome fish and sketches, and this was an awesome book, awesome workshop. It took me back to a lot of the basics of what I don't know, I kind of forgot about. It's not all black and white, it's color too, but I'm just going to flip through a few pages so you can kind of see what he does and how amazing things are. So creatures and beautiful women. And cats. I love cats too. So, and bats. Oh, I love this one. I'm also into squirrels, if you don't remember, but that's not a squirrel, it's a rat. But back to me. Hopefully this mic is good enough and you can hear me. If not, I'll change things up next time. Use a headset. So I'm just going back over and erasing some of the pencil marks. I don't mind a few in there, especially with what I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to do a dual tone. So it's going to be red, and there's going to be gray. But with the gray, I can use it to create volume and just make things stand out. And then I do come back a lot of times with some white ink or gouache. Depends on how I'm feeling at the time. And then I will highlight things, sometimes things that weren't even in there from the beginning. This is a creative process. So as I'm working, I don't really stop working. I just keep going and going. Energizer Bunny. My thought process is way out there to begin with, so most people are like, oh, where did you come up with that? What are you talking about? Are we even having the same conversation? So hopefully, yeah, we were, but you never know. Why Jason? Well, he was actually the first horror movie that actually scared me. In the first one, and actually I guess that was his mom. That was actually really, really one of my favorites still. Nice, scary slasher. Just give them a good once over with just like a normal brush. Just had a couple of days to dry because I didn't get back to this as quickly as I usually would. Sickness and whatever, you probably hear me coughing later on. We'll see. Our family is passing some head cold or virus or whatever around. You can hear police sirens in the background. My son playing some Chase McCain because he's homesick. All right, so I used to do cards individually, and it's fun. And I still do it like when I'm at a conference because it's just quicker and I can focus a little harder. But when I'm doing a series like this, I like to put them all on the same page. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is for my brain. It keeps me honest as far as like keeping things consistent. And then, consistency. And then for some reason, it's a lot quicker for me. Like I could do a whole 9 cards in a day versus 9 cards in a week. I don't know why, but like having a finished large piece of paper versus having a finished small piece of paper makes a difference, but it does. Okay, so I'm going monochromatic on these. Well, not monochromatic, but two-tone. And what I mean by that is I'm going to highlight certain parts of his mask that like really make me realize who he is. What's up? Pardon this interruption by Asher Ralston.
Dad, can you say something? I'm go on my iPad now.
Okay. All right. I just got to grab something for the munchkin, and I'm back.
Go get me an city lights and rock lights. That's what I'm both guiding.
Okie dokie. I have returned. And there's a phone call. What is going on? It's unavailable, so we'll let it go. So I'm going to use a little watercolor here. And highlight the red on his mask. Mixing my koi watercolors over here with just like a regular old water brush pen. Trying to keep it a little on the neutral side. So not totally bright, but bright enough to know that, yeah, it's red. And here we go. If I'm real shaky today or not. Been fighting the flu bug just like everybody else. I like that though. Not fighting the flu bug, but the wishy-washy of the red here. Now, this is one of the reasons why I really like working on a large sheet. And now I know I could use like multiple cards and do this, but if I'm working on a big sheet here, I have much less of a chance of coming in and messing up, like shuffling cards weird and having a big streak across. I got everything right here in front of me. And that way, keep track of what's going on. I am an artist, by the way. Easily distracted by shiny objects or glowing objects. In addition to that, I can, as I'm working, this one can dry while I'm doing all these other ones. So when I get back to that one, I'm ready to go with my next color, or if I want to do another color, another run on top. So try not to work too wet. And I kind of keep the same mentality as when I'm using marker. And that seems to work pretty good. And actually this way I'm kind of doing a little reverse here because I wanted the watercolor first. So then I can put the shadows on top of it. And for some reason I felt that was the way to go with these. That's not quite dry on that first one, but this one is. So I'm going to actually go over again with some more red. Red is always a naked color for me. I'm a little light-handed, so. No, I didn't say light-headed. What did I? Wouldn't totally be on though. Go. Maybe watch it up a little bit just to insinuate leather or something. About smooching skeletons with whatever my son is watching now.
I really like when they stopped myself from falling.
All pretty soon. I promise to have my stream going when you guys are available. Just right now, trying to get the engine going and really put out some stuff. I will be taking part in the 24-hour comic book day this year. I think I know which one I'm going to do. Something that you guys haven't seen yet. I hope that's okay. Unless you really know me, then you might have heard of me speak of it. Jibba jabba jibba jabba. And today I'm also gonna, after I finish these guys, I'm gonna finish up that short story. It's been edited, and thank goodness, because even when loved ones read the things that you have, it doesn't always come out like what you think it's going to. All right, so got those on there. I'm gonna let them dry for a second. Sometimes I'll use this guy, the heat gun. That works pretty well. Not always. Sometimes you can do a little too much and warp things. So you gotta make sure you have the right distance from your paper, or you get a lot of that and this, and you don't want that. Take a closer look maybe at some of these guys. Just as we're going through. Those are kind of fun just like that. But I'll definitely keep rocking. Because there's so much volume that I can add. I think I might actually move it back on that white. Because that, I think, could be interesting. It's just so stark and so contrasting with what I do sometimes. So if I drop the camera, that'd be awesome. It's teetering precariously on a yeah. Sorry, my brain's not working totally yet. Even after a giant cup of coffee. Coffee is the way to my heart. So, just so you know. So, for my ink washes, what I have done is taken some ink and made pots. And so I can make sure that I have like the same consistency all the time. I filled it up to a certain level. That's a bad example. Sorry. And then, wow, you can't even read that either. So basically, I marked how many drops of ink I put into each pot in addition to the water that was already there. And that seems to work pretty well. And to keep myself familiar with the style or whatever of my inking and marker use, I have two brushes that I use. I use this eight Zen. It's probably the medium quality watercolor brush. I like it. And then I also use, that's not it. This is it. Okay. It's also the same brand, and it's a number 2, so it's smaller. Let's put it here so you can actually see how big it is compared, and I can put them together, and you can see that too. So I got a nice broad one and then a nice finer one. I seem to have good luck with them. And I'll start with a lighter amount of ink and go to a heavier. So like a buildup. And in that case, having this one dry while I finish up on this one, it's good because then I can keep moving as I go along and deciding when to stop and all that. That's a whole nother story. And with these, they're going to be pretty dark, so any whites that I leave are going to stand out pretty well. And I use isopropyl alcohol to clean my brushes because I'm figuring that out and it works really well for me and my brushes like it too. So good reasons all the way around. Let's see about that. That looks pretty good. Okay. Got my little test sheet. Oh yeah, then I have that. It kind of gives me an idea of the colors. You can't really read it, but basically I have it marked for all the, there it goes, marked for all the different depths of black that I have, or gray. Just as a reminder. And I do paint a little bit, so like, just like the pencils, the final straw doesn't happen until I get done working completely. So now with the inks, the more you go over, the more depth you get. Doesn't always work for everything else. So when it gets a little darker, get some interesting stuff going on. And just remember where you want to have your shadows. I'm getting quiet because I'm focusing, but that's okay, right? Right. So you can see it's adding depth. Just adding depth and form. That's what I use my inks for. And you can go right over that watercolor. And it changes its like tone. Then I come back over some of the others colors and gray, and it just makes it even grayer. So you can keep on darkening it up. It won't go totally black, but it will get darker. And I gotta make sure I pay attention to which colors are which when I'm grabbing them over here. So a lot of times I'll just have one pot open at a time. But as I get going, a lot of times I'll open things up and just rock it. Look at this blade a little bit. That back there, I think I do want to add color to it, but not that much. So I'm going to a lighter wash for out here. And I might use it a little bit to keep it washy and wishy like that. Yep. I can be subtle sometimes. I like a combination between, I don't know, well, a bunch of different artists, but that's what artists are. We are our predecessors, and we are striving to be more than them, but at the same time we got to give their due where it is done. So I'm using everything from everybody that I've ever learned every time I work. So here's my darkest of my washes. Let's see, yep, that's pretty dark. So I can do like more shadows within my shadows and like things creepier. And then suddenly things that weren't popping out as much pop out even more. And so I have to kind of thank my parents for not getting a color TV forever. I think that's where I kind of figured out tones and that kind of thing. Because I used to freak them out and like say, "Oh, hey, the news guy's wearing that nice red tie today." And my dad, who's actually colorblind, would be like, "What? You have a black and white TV? You can't tell that." It's like, "Oh yeah, it's nice and red and awesome." So, thanks. We also never had cable, so I didn't get to visit a lot of these movies until late in life. And yeah. digging I did with the really dark inks over on the other side. So, yeah. All my jibber jabbering and I get one done. So I just keep going. And if you have any questions, ask. That's fine. I will be here. Real dark right away. And I wasn't sure about the not having a background on that one, but I'm kind of digging it now. I probably should have let that dry a little bit more. Do I stop? No. I just try to make it worse. Ugh. Going back to one of the darker colors here. This is super wet up in here, so move down to a different area. Do some damage. And back to a really light color. There we go. touching stuff up. Ooh. You better look at these guys. So you can see adding just makes it even more depth. And this next one is going to be interesting because I have parts of it that I want to remain like stark white. So I just got to remember that while I'm doing it. So like around the mask. So this line around, that's what I'm not going to paint. And I'm going to attempt to paint around the outside on this other side and like continue that line. That's the plan anyway. I'm actually working a little wetter than I usually do, so I need to chill out and not do that. Especially if I want to have more control over my colors here in a little bit. I love monsters. You love monsters? I do. Now, I'm going to just start talking about other stuff because that's what I do. I'm exercising though, so that's good. It's good for my back, and it's good to keep things. Well, if my back doesn't work, then I can't do this. So I've tried all sorts of different ways to cheat or whatever, but it doesn't work ever. So, and I've noticed like places. Okay, so it's one thing when you got an intersection that has an issue with traffic accidents, right? Because yeah, it's a city planning thing. And it's not supposed to happen there, but it does. But I've noticed other things that are happening in certain places. Just recently, there's a spot at the end of my block. It's kind of halfway up a hill, and people's bicycles lately have been like losing their chain, like specifically in this one spot, within like, I'd say honestly, like within 10 feet of each other. So it gets my little creepy brain thinking, why? So, of course, it's probably something to do with like the hill, but my brain immediately goes to, what if there's something there and it's just doing it? Like, is there a creepy entity? I'm not really that much into ghosts, but maybe I am. I love creepy, so maybe that's why I love creepy. right, that guy's done too. So these go a lot faster too when I work on a big sheet because I don't have a chance to say, oh wait, I need to go do this. And so that stands out pretty well. Actually, looking at these through the camera is helping me too. Because now I'm like, well, maybe I could do a little bit more depth to that. More dynamic. And I'm kind of giving him an expression through his mask, so that's fine. I'll leave that like that for now. Which, again, it comes back to, well, I got all these in front of me. I don't have to shuffle back through and say, oh, wait, maybe that one needed something extra. And it's already here right in front of me, so I don't worry about it. I just do it. So it's fun. Continuing my creative process as I'm working. And I have totally reversed the way that I'm working just since the beginning of our little talk here. So the spaces thing, it's just weird. I actually have a little short story that eventually I want to turn into something. And I kind of started it, but I just lost steam on it. And I haven't messed with it in a long, long time. I did a little zine. It's it actually ties into my third rail comic. And maybe that's what I'll do on 24-hour comic book day. But it's about this guy. And he is actually one of the architects for the city of New Platte, the comic book city. And he helps the city get off its feet. And it just, so as part of it is like, it happened before the incident that happens with the city to make the city a necessity. He is working in New York City after the Great Fire, and he is there pretty much to make their fire stuff more fireproofy, and which at the time it wasn't. There was no standard for safety or anything like that. So, and he had been studying. In my story, he's actually from Miskatonic University, so you might have an idea where that's going. And he gets called in by the dean, and they say, okay, you're going to go to New York and you're going to help them out. And there's not really going to be any more discussion. There's too big a fire. They can't handle it. So you got to go. And they're like, oh, okay. So he goes over there, starts helping out. And he is there for a few, like, I think it's about a year. My timeline might be a little off, but, and he gets, in the mail, he gets a gift from a niece. She and her family had been to the beach, and she came upon a piece of lightning glass. So I don't know if you know, but sometimes when the things are just right, if lightning hits the beach, you can get glass. Usually it's not real clear or anything like that. It's kind of marbleized maybe. But she sends it to him, and it just kind of sits around in his room or whatever. And what he's been doing in the city to help it is he is going through and he's trying to make sure that there are safe passage for people. So he's making sure that like entries and exits are there for people to get in and out if there is an incident. And he starts to notice like pockets of space where nobody stands, and he takes it upon himself to like explore why we would have these places here and why they are necessary, or if they're necessary, and if they're not, then is it possible to cut them out so that it would make it easier for people to get out of the way or whatever. So he works on that, and just one time he was goofing around with the glass with him, and he looks through the glass, and just like while he's sitting there eating lunch or whatever, and then he notices that like there's like almost an object like in the space that he's examining, but he can only see it through the glass. And he walks over and he looks, and he can't touch it, but it's definitely there. And it's like a chunk of an artifact. And so he draws it in his book and he examines it. And then he starts thinking, like, well, is that everywhere? Is that spot where nobody goes? I've never seen anybody stand there, or at least not stand there for more than a couple of minutes. Is that everywhere? Is like something causing people rather than just like human nature for not wanting to be there, making people not want to be there. Another one. So as it goes on and on, he never really like finishes figuring out exactly what's happening, but he knows something's up. And then the artifacts get like he goes back to investigate, and like he finds like lots of little things and everything, and then eventually the artifacts start getting large, like and like more whole. So he starts realizing that maybe this is from someplace else, and it's starting to come through to our world. And the coincidence of it happening just as the cataclysm within the third rail happens is uncanny. And when that finally does happen, he immediately knows something has gone on. He's never really confided in anybody, so he immediately jumps on the biggest project that he can find, which is New Platte at the time, and he was just happened to be in the area. So yeah, so he kind of foresees something coming. And rather than tell everybody, he didn't want everybody to think he's insane, so he kept it to himself and went along with his daily life. Kind of like I think a lot of people would nowadays. Which is sad, but unfortunately, I think it's pretty true anymore. But just so you know, if I were to run across an evil trying to possess our land, I would probably let everybody know. And I would like you to too, so. So it's still kind of a work in progress as far as that goes. And when it gets done, I'll turn it into like a prequel comic for the third rail. And I'm currently working on a story for issue 2, the official issue 2 of the third rail, while I do sketch cards and other stuff. So can't wait to finish that up. I'm going to get an introduction to like at least one, well, no, 2 new characters, maybe 4. I haven't decided when to bring a certain set of characters in quite yet. But yeah, it's going to start turning more into a group of people that are together, but still, I don't know. Maybe I have too much influence of like Pulp Fiction and that kind of story where things don't mesh up until later, but it's fun just having like the way things coincide or things coinciding at one point in time. Like the first villain, I don't think is going to be necessary for all of my characters, so that's probably part of the decision that I'm having problems with. But if they're there, I don't think it'd be that much of a problem. But we'll see. The name of the 2 characters that I'm going back and forth on are Madam X and Mad Hat. Those are some nicknames, kind of, but one is a mystic and one is a Pinkerton, so that can be kind of cool. No red on that one. Interesting. Yeah, but the gray tones, they really make it feel like give it dimension. Like I love Mignola and his style. Obviously, like you can see my heavy blocking. I would between him and Caravaggio, that's where it came from. Chiaroscuro, use of light and dark to create depth. I love it, and that's probably where I'll always be. Yeah. So it's my world. Well, this next one is going to be interesting because I want to. He's underwater, and I want to kind of show that. But there are also all these chains that I have to be careful with and not do what I just did. Oversaturate my brush. I need to be kind of exact. And not hit the bubbles. I'm gonna probably have to look up a good shape for, like, I want to get a good water feel underneath. So I don't want to go too dark on my colors. Sorry, I'm focusing too much. You're losing me. I don't want to be too dark with my tones until after I get that effect of the water kind of reflecting down on him, or like through to him. And then that way I'll be able to have a good swishy feel to this. And yeah. But also I need to keep my shadows where they're supposed to be so that I can do that too. So hopefully my droning voice isn't putting everybody to sleep, but I guess it's okay. I'm just a comforting person. Ugh. Belly shot. Oh. Let that dry, I think, before I start doing what I want to do to it. Better move on. So I'll come back to this one after it's really dry, and then I'll be able to get a clear, defined line with my brush. And I'll probably come back with some white and like do highlights on the chains and that kind of thing, because they're not necessarily shiny, but they would have some sort of reflection on them. At least in my eyes. didn't know that Jason was an elf. Surprise. Not really. Or am I kidding? Dun, dun, dun. Well, there's that sound effect again. Joined a new group on Facebook. It's actually for sketch cards. Figure I do them enough that it might be helpful. It's fun. I haven't really posted any of my sketch cards yet, but once I get this set done, I'll definitely post these up there. I don't really, actually, when I think about it, I don't know what to expect from it, other than maybe getting a few more people looking at my work, which is cool. But well, if the mic is down low, then it's probably best that you're not hearing me breathing over here, choking on my own fluids. I always wondered when I'd be able to use that art class thing with the drawing paper bags and draped linens. This should be a fun one because it will dynamically change when I add these colors to it. Because right now it doesn't have a whole lot of form. I mean, I gave it a little form with the ink, but once I start adding this, it's going to have wrinkles and cat ears. Just a huge amount more of dynamicy. Dynamicy, yeah, whatever. Because you really couldn't see that curve there before I just did that. So fun stuff. So when is the drawing done? Yeah, it's done when it's done. Sometimes it's that quick, and sometimes it's not. This one proved more of a challenge than I thought. Not really. Challenge. Excuse me. Should let that dry some more, and then we'll come back and work on it. All right. Just to make sure that this one's totally dry, I'm going to continue with this one. Ooh, brother. That's sign at the bottom. That's annoying. I want this to be starkly in this direction. So use that like that. Darker. So, I don't know why my brain isn't working properly, because I know I don't want to do that. Way, way, way. Much water on my water brush. So an hour to do a whole page of cards. Not bad. I'm not quite done. Like, I wanted to rework this one and this, but this is the way I like to do it. And generally it'll take me about the same time to ink, so that's, my pencils are so loose most of the time that takes no time at all. It takes maybe 30 minutes to do a whole card set. And then after that, it's just like, yeah. I'm trying to make it look wishy-washy. Let's see if this actually works out for me. It might be darker than what I think. Avoid the bubbles. Yeah, I think darker is in order. So, patience in the middle. Trying to plug in. Hi, everybody. Yep, I'm down on my knees. Now you're gonna be able to see me. Hi. Okay. Why I got it plugged in? Oh, wouldn't it be awesome if I threw my back out right now? Then you guys don't see me and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Good. Yes. Goof around. You probably heard absolutely none of that. Might be good. All right. So this one's making me anxious, so I'm gonna go ahead and stir them up a little bit. It doesn't take much. Actually, while I was doing that, I was thinking, hey, why don't I work on this one here? Okay. More darkness, more darkness. So I think the plan currently for me putting out videos is you guys are going to get to see the patrons on my Patreon will get to see the videos first. And then as I finish up another video, I'll release the previous video to the public. So at least that's the plan, and I think it's a good plan. And that way all the patrons, that's all the patrons, will get to see these videos. And then once I get started on the comics again, go back to you getting to see, the patrons getting to see at different levels, different amounts of the comic. All right, now Going totally dark on the wishy-washy now. So we can do this and hold this and do it at the same time. Now the next one that I want to, next little set, is pretty dear to my heart. One of my favorite monsters of all time. Xenomorphs. And yeah, I'm one of those people. I love the first movie for its horror, but then once James Cameron got a hold of it, I love that too. Okay. It's a little muddled. Let's see what else I can do to it. Maybe let that stuff dry out on there too. Definitely don't want straight white on it, so darken that out. That interesting sound is my 100-year-old dog making interesting sounds. Maybe, I don't know. Still not sold. I'm like holding this up by my head, so that's like a foot and a half from the paper, just to dry it out. And the other cards, so they'll get flattened out once I put them in there. Top loaders, but you don't need to test it. I think it might actually come back with some dark looks. Like, I don't know, maybe I haven't decided yet. I think I do want to go ahead and work on these with some.
Dad, look. I paused my show and changed my face character.
So I like adding this stuff to work. Just kind of makes things shiny. It gives definition where there wasn't before. But I've definitely gotten a lot more picky in my where I choose to do that. It used to be everywhere, every line that I had to be outlined. But not anymore. Now I use it definitely more as a tool rather than just a uh, words. Yeah. It works on top of watercolor too. Just you don't press down too hard. Generally. A little bit can go a long way, so you don't have to really make everything white. Okay. And this guy actually did almost exactly what I wanted to, but I like to add just, it's like about having shapes within shapes. And I like people to be able to explore a little bit. So like when you see an image, you can see it from multiple distances. So you look at the card from across the room. Oh, hey, yeah, it's Jason. Oh, wait, look at that. Isn't that awesome? You know, the closer you get, the more you get from an image. And that's kind of my plan with these. Hopefully I'm not totally boring you guys. I'm trying not to spill my stuff over here. Flipping this big piece of paper around. Never happened before. Much. These guys will probably benefit the most from this kind of thing because I can really bring out some of these shapes. Actually, again, sometimes I don't give myself enough credit because it's more about the outline of a figure at this point when I'm working on something like this, because I can add stuff that was like really back in the black. It's a little bit of color in here. I'm definitely going to work on camera angle for next time. Really like you guys to get closer, but I do like the image quality on this camera, so maybe I'll get a helicopter to come in. reflection here. You okay?
Dad,
Mhm.
I want to play chase a game now.
Okay, you can set that down and play. Still don't know what to think about these. I think I actually need to look up that wavelength thing that I'm trying to emulate. No, it's more like light. Huh. So what I had in my head and what it actually is like completely different, of course. And it's actually white instead of dark. So there's like times that I think that I've completely ruined stuff, but then I can turn it around. I'm not so sure about this guy though. I like him, but he needs more. But yeah, I'll come back to him again. I'm about to have to take a break and see you guys on the flip side. Because I'm going to be selling some artwork here in a second. So awesome. It's great talking to you. And hopefully you can make it through half of this before you fall asleep. And yeah. So keep drawing. Keep coming and seeing me. I love seeing you guys. So we're rock and roll. Come to Behind the Glass. If you want to come out and see what we're doing for, if you want to come out and see what we're doing for the 24-hour comic book day, definitely come out on October 6th at Behind the Glass, and I will be there. There will be many people, like at least 4 or 5 people there drawing comics. I don't know the exact rules that we're going to go by yet, but yeah, come by, see new stuff, and enjoy. I will talk to you later. And remember to steam on, keep on rocking, and have fun.
Dad, look it. Did you